Welcome to Full Frame. My name is Robert Pears. I want to share some more tips and techniques that I believe will help you as you take pictures for specialty events, weddings, etc. One of the things I like to do is, I said, have two cameras. If you're going to use more than one camera, one of the things I would strongly encourage you to do is set the time on the camera so that they are all consistent. Why is this important? Well, when you pull all the pictures into Lightroom like I do, okay, I take them into Lightroom. I love that because in Lightroom I can then do some initial processing and get, for example, the white balance consistent for all the ceremony pictures. I then export them as a Photoshop file into a folder and in Adobe Bridge. I go to that folder in Adobe Bridge and I begin to break out the pictures into subfolders. For example, I have a folder for ceremony, a folder for the bride pictures, a folder for the couple pictures, a folder for prep time, etc. I then go to those subfolders and begin to look. Let's take the ceremony ones. There's nothing worse when you've had two or more cameras and they are not in sync. So you have a picture here of the procession and all of a sudden here you have one of the first kiss and they're just not in sync. If you have timed it correctly, you can go in Adobe Bridge and you can sort based on time. You can then batch rename so that now all the pictures are in their correct timing and are now named. And I like to take that folder and batch rename so that all of my ceremony ones say ceremony 1, 2, 3, etc. Are my prep ones. And it makes it easier for me and it makes it easier for the people looking at the picture. So just take a few moments to make sure that your cameras, that the time is correct on all of your cameras. It'll allow you to better process your images after you're done. Also, I like to use a high-speed card. So the memory card that you use, I like to use at least 95 megabytes per second. And that is because more and more cameras use bigger images. I also want to encourage you to use a RAW format. RAW gathers much more information, particularly in low light. And you'll find, for example, in a low light situation where, let's say there's a bright light in the background, you take a picture of the couple, that area of bright light, you're going to have blooming where the light bleeds into the surrounding pixels and all that information is lost. You stand a better chance with a RAW picture of having more data to capture back. Plus, in low light, you will find that in general, you get better images even in those challenging situations. And you can compress it more because it's at 300 usually PPI compared to 70. So you have more data, more information, but you will need something like Adobe Photoshop to be able to process a raw image. But you're going to be much, much happier with it in the long term. And there's nothing worse than the flaws that a JPEG can have in challenging situations, and therefore a picture that's lost of a magical moment that had you done it in RAW, you would have kept and been able to deliver to your client. So I encourage you to do that. As I said, I have certain settings that I always use. I encourage you to look at some of my videos where I study and explain the different theories behind why I use those parameters and help you therefore make logical decisions. I want to get you out of automatic mode and using the camera more creatively and using the tools. Now, when you're taking, for example, a wedding, I take pictures of everything. I like to get pictures of the rings, and I want to use the bouquet of flowers. I want to use the flowers. I try to find something where there's stone, like a granite tabletop or something, to have the flowers and take pictures of the rings. And using a macro lens, I can get in really close. If you're using a macro lens, I encourage you to take the picture multiple times because I assure you the depth of field on a macro is extremely, extremely small, and the chances are you're not going to get it the first time. So take. Again, my golden rule, when you think you've got it, take it again. I love to get pictures of where all the bridesmaids and the bride hold their flowers in a circle so that you get a picture of the flowers. They've spent a lot of money on these flowers, try to capture them. I try to capture everything from the day because in my opinion, they can delete it if they don't want it. Potentially it's usable in creating a wedding album. So capture everything including the wedding dress. I look for creative ways to hang and present the wedding dress because, again, I want them to have every moment of that day captured. And with today's digital cameras, you can keep capturing as much as you want. I capture the shoes. I like to capture the shoes and play around with the shoes and the bouquet of flowers. So that, again, I'm looking for everything from the day. Get a list of critical moments that they want. Ask them to go to Pinterest or whatever else and capture images that they like, because it's hard to tell from one couple to the next what their flavor and style is like. And a lot of time you go with ideas and you discover, you know what, they just don't like it. That's not them. They're very stiff or whatever, or they're very excitable. So by having images from Pinterest and I have them printed out, I go in, okay, let's do this one, let's do this one. I also turn up early to the place where we're going to be so that I can look around and start to gather ideas and present. They can always say no, but I will present a lot of ideas. How about this? How about that? And I have thought it out and I am ready. I think it's important to go with a plan and to make sure that they're aware you have a plan. I take full control. So if I'm doing photography, and if I'm doing photography, videography, I direct it because I have the vision for it, because I'm the one that has talked to them, and I want it all to flow together. So I want a consistent theme and feel to it that I believe is capturing their vision. So talk to them, spend time, listen, and capture as many notes. Get them to send you ideas of what they are looking for, because it will help you capture those moments. Be aware of, for example, in churches, some churches have strict rules on where you can stand and where you cannot. So be ready for that. I think Methodist churches, for example, have a line where you cannot cross, and so often you're very far back, so you will want a zoom lens. You can always borrow or rent from places like Borrow Lenses if that is the case. I encourage my couple to send me a note of the restrictions on the church so that I know, do I need to have special lenses because I'm going to be far off, and I make them aware of the consequences of being that far away so that I set the expectation correct. There's certain images I cannot get if I am 100 feet back. Again, I want to make sure I have the equipment for it and I have set the expectation for that. So again, prepare. Arrive early and be ready to set up and do some test shots. If you get a chance, talk to the people there and make sure that they will tell you the lighting restrictions and whether you can use flash or not, where you can stand. I actually try to get, whether it's the officiant or the person in charge, okay, here's the plan that I have. Is it okay with you? A lot of them allow you to take, for example, flash photography of the processional up to a certain point. Once the bride gets to a certain point, you've got to get out of there because that becomes holy space, and I honor that and respect that and keep out of it. So I want the rules. I encourage you, get the rules. They will enable you to capture the pictures better. Plan. Where do you have the other photographer? Where do you have the videographer so we don't see each other, but we're capturing the critical moments? Where can you go? Is there a balcony? Can you go up in the balcony? Where in the balcony are you allowed? And what does it offer you in terms of a different perspective? Think of all these things through, put it down on paper, and plan it out. And I think you will get a better overall flavor and sense of the big day for your client. Well, I hope this has helped, and I look forward to sharing more with you on Full Frame. Thank you, and be blessed.